Welcome to our conversations in the shade of the Tree of Life. I'm Rabbi Nadia Gross. I'm the co-founder and chief programming officer at Gevurah.
Hi, everyone. I'm Gevurah Gren, founding director of the Lilith Institute and Mishkan Shekhinah.
And we are in the sixth week of this journey up the Tree of Life, heading towards Rosh Hashanah, towards the new year. This is the week of Gevurah, the sphira that probably gets the worst rap of any of the attributes on the Tree of Life, and yet is so critical and essential to who we are. But I'll let Ruach Torah tell you a little bit about that.
All right. So I used to see this sphira on the Tree of Life and never liked it. It meant judgment, and I already had judgmental people in my life. Why would I invite an attribute or try to develop one within myself which perpetuated this trait? I later learned it also meant boundaries, so I liked it even less because I don't like having limits put on my activities, my speech, my thinking, although I do appreciate tight deadlines when they light a fire under me to get some writing done. But over the past 20 or 25 years, I've also learned how vital, how invaluable it is to set boundaries on both personal and professional fronts. They can make the difference between a nourishing relationship and a stressful one, in which power dynamics may otherwise throw things out of balance. So they can be a form of self-protection. As many will recognize, learning how to say no can be very difficult, especially for women, and has been an important teaching for me that has brought less stress to my life after getting used to putting any initial guilt aside that I might have felt about not always being available to a friend or colleague, especially not always on their timetable. The discernment that Gevurah calls for is also an important skill. Being able to distinguish between what seems urgent and what is truly important, or being able to ascertain which tasks or activities are in our best interest long-term and which can be left behind. All of that helps us stay in alignment with our goals and our values. In Gevurah's strength, when applied properly, without seeking dominance or power over others, when it's part of a thoughtful process and used to shore us up so that we can pursue our projects, stand in our full power, obviously is something we need to call on. So I wonder, do you see a difference between judgment and discernment? And if so, what is it? In this month of Elul, this period of self-examination and Shuvah, we can ask ourselves, is there a time when you have judged someone else unfairly or felt that you were judged too harshly?
You know, Ruach Torah, what you are speaking to here in your questions and in your articulation of Gevurah is the spectrum of the attribute. And it's important for us to be aware that every one of the attributes on the Tree of Life is actually a spectrum from a very helpful, useful, life-affirming, positive, healed expression, all the way to a very unhealed or unhealthy expression of that very same attribute. So to me, judgment and discernment are two poles, really, on a spectrum. And what is the difference? The difference is in the capacity to be flexible, to be permeable, to be movable. The boundaries of Gevurah that you rejected when you were younger was, I think, because as children, we learned that boundaries were those things that limited us, that our parents put around us or our teachers put around us to manage us, to steer us, and to limit our youthful exuberance or whatever. And yet we failed to notice, and sometimes didn't learn it until we were parents ourselves or teachers or whatever, how important healthy boundaries can be for a sense of safety and guidance. And so, truthfully, in this week of Gevurah, I want to celebrate those boundaries and that discernment, which is flexible, movable, that allows me to know myself, to recognize good, bad, right, wrong, to steer in a direction that is life affirming and healing, and embrace those aspects of Gevurah while watching that I don't become brittle and too harsh and too tight, which would be really that very unhealed expression of the same attribute that we are celebrating this week. And I love your questions for us as part of our reflection, our tshuva reflection. So thank you for that.
Source of all, let us draw on the attributes of Gevurah as they can inform us, heal us, make us healthier, help us to have our own trees of life in better balance. When we think of the term judgment, let us use it cautiously, and rather I lean towards discernment, as you know, because I'm concerned that we judge ourselves too harshly. And so let us have compassion for ourselves in this time of self-examination. Gevurah, we have, as we've discussed, a changing relationship with you. And I want to remember also justice. Guide our footsteps so that we can bring justice, to bring healing to the world, to our relationships, including that one with ourselves. So let us, again, not be too self-critical, including how we serve justice and how we bring tzedek into the world. Let us bring it out through our speech and our actions, even if we are not activists. Let us rely on and take pride in our strength. And let us keep clear and healthy boundaries and embody all of your traits with our own take on what they can mean for us and how they can improve our lives. We ask your help in all these ambitions, these aspirations, and say Selah. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. See you next time.
Blessings. Till next time.